Welcome back to this session. Before we begin these topics, let us spend half an hour in some interaction. Because last session we've had only, you listened to what I was saying. You can come up with some examples of your own. You can come up with some questions if you have. You can also, some comments, some suggestions, some feedback. Any of these things you could do before we begin and go into these two areas, emotional intelligence, self-analysis, mind mapping I've done together. So we'll do that also. Let me begin by a question which she was asking. Would you like to come and ask it again? Come.
If somebody is unnecessary saying that or getting their credit again and again, like if we are doing some work and the person who is senior to us is again and again taking the credit, then what should be the action should be taken off that? What should be the action that we take in that condition? Like if in starting that we have protested, that is wrong. But if doubt case was there, we have not protested. But if that doubt has been confirmed that the thing he is doing is wrong, then what should be the action to be taken?
It very often happens that, people who have power over us take the credit themselves and then don't give us any credit when you're working in a team like that. Since I gave a similar example, from that she asked this question. Very important for us is not to be very impetuous in such a situation. If first time it happens and we immediately, feel negative, that is not correct. Because sometimes the entire team's performance is more important than an individual's performance. So if you're not getting credit, I told her, don't get worried, 1 or 2 times. But she said, this has been happening for a long time. Suppose this continues to happen for a long time. Then what do you do? Then I suggested that protesting is important. Suppose you deserve credit and you are not getting it, then you must make it known that you are aware that the credit is yours. Unless we protest in a negative situation, tolerating wrong is as wrong as doing wrong. So we don't tolerate, we protest. Often, no result comes from the protest. The person who's doing wrong, suppressing your credits and taking credit himself or herself, is not listening to you. Is there a redressal method which is higher than this? The person who's doing wrong, does that person have any other leader, any other boss whom you can complain to? All complaints have no effect. Can you take yourself away from this situation? If we are in a good position, in a good job, we can't leave our job. People ill-treat us, but we have to continue. In which case, the best thing would be, instead of getting negative, tense, and stressed out, to wait for your turn to come. There is something which all of us need in life, and that is faith. Faith is something which sustains you. It need not necessarily be faith in a God or faith in a particular religion or any such thing. The faith which we are looking for here is that all lives have their own pattern. All lives have their own blueprint. All we can do is to follow it. Unfortunately, we are not aware of that blueprint. We can't see it. That is what, the fortune telling, and they read palms and things like that. They read forehead and face and all. All those are just things because we can't see the future. But rest assured that your future is beautifully determined as long as you are in the right. If you are honest, if you are right, and you are doing your duty perfectly, you need not even worry about the future. The future will take care of itself. This is a faith which all of us should have. Strength comes from this faith, that a good person can never be suppressed. However many difficulties come into your life, they will resolve themselves. The only thing required is a little patience. So first we try, give the person a few opportunities, protest, take the protest higher and higher till you can reach. Otherwise, move out of that whole situation where you can't. You wait and you bide your time. Most of us become impatient, one. Most of us become depressed. We become angry. We become, we lose our self-worth by saying, I'm not good enough. These are not mental attitudes which we should have. As long as you're convinced that what you're doing is right, as long as you are doing to the best of your ability, good has to come to you. Evil will never come to you as long as you're doing. Suppose you're doing half-heartedly. Suppose you're not putting your best effort. Suppose you are not doing as you should be doing. This kind of an analysis becomes important. Sometimes we don't know. We have to analyze ourselves from the other person's point of view. An interesting game can be played in the classroom. Since many of you are students and many of your teachers, you can try it. You ask each person to be described by 5 other people in writing. You write about yourself 5 sentences and ask 5 more people to write about you. Like that, each individual writes about 5 people and about themselves. Then you compare it and see. You will know how many differences are there between what we think of ourselves and what others think of us. Then what is our self-image? Who are we actually? We have to take an average of both. What I think might not be fully correct. What you think might not be fully correct. It might be somewhere in the middle. This can be done, statistical analysis of this can be done. It's a very mathematical process. But it's a very interesting thing. You can do it in your real life also. Go home today and ask the people at home to write about you. Only 5 sentences, not more. You write about yourself 5 sentences and you see, even your own family thinks differently about you than you think. Maybe every member of the family thinks differently about you. This is, called self-knowledge. Knowing about yourself, not based on what you think, but based on what others think. So we have to also analyze like that. When a situation comes, a difficult situation, when we feel a sense of deprivation, when we feel terrible, then you have to first analyze and see like that. But always having faith that, things cannot go wrong. For a good person who's doing his or her best, things will turn. Sooner or later, things are bound to turn. That is how the cosmic intelligence is. We don't say God and all are very difficult words these days. See how cosmic intelligence works. You plant a rose bush and you say, I don't like roses, can I get lilies out of it? Every day you keep telling the plant, lily only, lily only. You water the plant, you give all the manure, everything, and you keep telling the plant, lily, lily, lily. After some days, rose comes. How does the plant know that it has to only have roses? We say genetics, we say DNA, we say this, we say that, but there is something behind all this which is called cosmic intelligence. All of us should keep this in mind, however secular or however atheist a person is. This is what gives strength to an individual. This is what gives balance to the mind, that there is something behind us. Scientists don't believe in a soul or anything. Then soul was redefined in the 20th century. They say it is only an energy content in you. In school we studied, that energy cannot be destroyed or it cannot be created. Some such definition we studied. Now what happens to the energy which is there in my body? When I'm speaking to you, I'm using energy. When you're listening to me, you're using energy. Your physical energy is absolutely quiet. You're sitting and listening. My physical energy is working because I'm speaking. My mental energy is working because I'm thinking also. Your mental energy is working because you're imbibing, you're analyzing, you're evaluating. When we are running, walking, our energy is used. So all this energy which is there in us leaves the body when the body dies. It cannot be destroyed. Like the body is burnt or it's buried, energy cannot be destroyed. So what happened to this energy? It went and merged into the cosmic energy all around. Slowly that energy goes into something else, and so on. It keeps, circulating. So just like we have, the World Wide Web of internet connections, we have World Wide Web of human connections also. So my energy is exactly the same as your energy. Then why am I thinking of you as an enemy? Why am I not thinking of you as an extension of myself? This attitudinal change comes with skills. When we have this attitudinal change, problems of life are solved. Nobody is an enemy anymore. You need not take away the credit of your subordinates in your team, because they are also an extension of yourself. If human beings can have this empathetic attitude, if human beings can participate in each other's life like this, then we will find that there are no problems in life. Unfortunately, we limit ourselves only to our physical frame by saying, I will feed myself, I will clothe myself, I will give luxuries to myself. No outsiders. If you ask psychologists, famous psychologist Lacan, he says that this is only a child state, precognition state, when the child knows only its own body. It doesn't know anything else. So we are not children anymore. This is 1 year, 2 year old child. We are not 1 year, 2 years. We are all quite old, but we have not come out of that childhood problem. The moment we expand ourselves, the better it is. This expansion comes when we have faith. What or in what you should have faith, I am not going to prescribe. Because most of us who say we are very religious, don't have faith at all. Before the exam, the student says, God, please give me more marks. I'll give you some laddus, okay? Or, in the south, very popular is coconut. So 1 coconut, 5 marks. 2 coconuts, 10 marks. God is a businessman or what? We are doing business. Otherwise, we do some blackmail also. By saying, God, see, I'm so good. I pray to you every day. I go to the temple, on Saturdays, and the church on Sundays, and the, mosque on Fridays. God, you can't do bad things to me. You have to do good things to me or else. See, this is not faith. Faith is that I will do my best. I will do whatever I am capable of to the best of my ability. But I will not expect that because I am doing my best, this will happen. This is called as the desired and the desirable. 2 words in English, the desired, what we desire, and the desirable, what is good for us. So we constantly keep desiring, God give me this, God give me this, God give me this. Some of those things are undesirable for us. So God gives only that which is desired and desirable. He doesn't give that which is desired and undesirable. Cosmic intelligence. We need not say God is God, sitting in heaven and giving punishment. Whoever does good gets, whoever does bad gets. No, nothing like that. It is absolutely scientific. It is absolutely rational. You do something, you get result. You don't do it, you don't get a result. That is why today all over the world, they are saying that the most scientific theology, the most scientific religious philosophy is the karma philosophy. They are saying it. Not, that God gives what you don't deserve or anything. It is an entire picture of cause and effect. Like Newton's law, equal and opposite reaction. These are the kind of things which we start getting faith in when we have this faith, that I am doing my best. That is how the entire Bhagavad Gita begins, you remember? Just like us, this young man throws off all the weapons and says, no, I can't fight, This is horrible. How can I fight my seniors, my teachers, my cousins, my guru, my great-grandfather, all are there. I can't fight, okay? Don't tell me, please. Don't tell me to fight. Life is exactly like that. Every day is a battlefield where I throw my things and says, I hate teaching, I don't want to teach. I hate studying, I don't want to study. I hate my job, I hate my family, I hate my life. Then Krishna says, you have no choice, you're a warrior, you have to fight. Who are you killing? Don't bother. Who aren't you killing? Don't bother. Why are you fighting? Don't bother. Your job is to do your duty. Are you doing it well? If I'm a teacher, my job is to teach in the class. For me, God is my student. I don't have to go to a temple to search for a God, because here are living gods. Do we enter a classroom with that feeling? Do we do our duty at each point, at home, in the place of work, to ourselves, to others, with that, complete purity? If we do, then nothing can touch us. In our shlokas, there is one called Devi Kavacham. Kavacham means, armor. So you have, when you're going around in the world, the armor of the mother is protecting you. Then how can it go wrong? It can go wrong for a small time, we have difficulties. But please remember, a life which is only full of happiness is a very boring life. It's like eating the same thing every day. We don't like, we like variety. If you go to a movie and you find that there is only a hero and heroine, no villain. The hero says, I love you, and sings 2 songs. Heroine says again, I love you, 2 more songs. 10 minutes, movie is finished. Who makes the movie 3 hours? The villain. So remember, in your life, most important are these difficulties. That is what makes your life interesting. That is what makes you mature, strong, brave, because there are difficulties. If you don't have difficulties, that's not a life worth living. Let me tell you, honestly, from my experience, I have certainly more experience than you have in the process of living, because I've lived more number of years than you. And it is when you have difficulties and the difficulties are sorted out, the kind of happiness you get will never come to you when you have no difficulties and therefore you are happy. That's a different thing. All of us make a mistake by searching for happiness. That is the mistake we make, because you don't have to search for happiness. When you accept suffering or sorrow or problems, you are actually accepting happiness. When you avoid sorrow, suffering, difficulty, you are avoiding happiness. There's a saying in English, failures are the stepping stones to success. We want success. Failures are the stepping stones. So if you step on failure, you get success. If you avoid failure, you don't get success. We all know this saying, it's a very popular saying. But we never analyzed it and saw that, you have Ganga here, I was told. There are some stones in there. Success is on the other bank, you are on this bank. Unless you cross that and go, you can't get. But you're scared to step because each one is a failure. It might be slippery rock which you will sink. But unless you take the courage to step on the failure, unless you accept failure, unless you welcome failure, you will never reach success. This requires a lot of courage, don't you think? To say that I want failure, to say that I enjoy failure, to say that I am not moved by sorrow, this takes courage. This is what life has to teach us. Once it does, we have enough mental balance, and you will find that success upon success comes. Professional jealousy is a very common thing. All of us face it. At every point we face it. Suppose you are exceptional only, people are jealous of you. Suppose you are mediocre, nobody is jealous of you. Suppose somebody is stopping you from getting excellence, you immediately think, oh, that means I am very good. Instead of thinking, why am I being stopped, you at least get a self-satisfaction that, people dislike me or people, oppress me only because I'm good enough. That feeling will see you through to a time when you are getting exceptional things. Okay, don't worry, it happens in everybody's life. It's not you alone. But this shouldn't stop you from being excellent. Wonderful. No, yours is a very good question also. Let me say. First of all, when I was talking about leadership as an individual term, I was talking mainly about not leading others, but leading yourself. So the definition you have given applies more to a leader of other people. Unless we are strong ourselves, unless we have, ability to orient ourselves, we can't do others. Today, most of the leadership definitions are leading others. But then look at the crisis of the world. We have leaders who are not good enough because they don't know how to manage themselves. They are managing many others without managing themselves. Everybody says India is a very corrupt country. So how will corruption go? Now we had some incident in Delhi, there was a lot of, emotion. I'm talking about emotional intelligence, let me give this example. But that emotion never gets concretized into action. Earlier there was lots of emotion about Lokpal Bill. I'm sure all of you know all these things. Have you ever heard anybody talking about self-improvement as a solution? They say laws should be very strong. They say, punishment should be very strong. They say we should improve awareness. They should say, capital punishment should be introduced. But nobody said change the mindset of the people. To treat corruption, you can't have, 4 or 5 honest leaders. That doesn't help. Suppose we have 4 honest leaders, does it help? What you need is an individual's mindset. Therefore, I started by leadership at an individual level. I didn't go into the community level of leadership. Leadership has many definitions. What you gave is a wonderful definition, that the leader is always a one who's going that extra mile for the others. Leader is one who's motivating others. In all the traits which I gave, this was only a self-improvement package. Today I'm concentrating mainly on how we can become better, because 150 years of Vivekananda has given us a chance to become Vivekananda. Vivekananda was good, we admit. So can we become like that? In a leadership workshop, I will go into all those details. There are many styles of leadership. You have a democratic style, you have an autocratic style. I didn't touch upon any of these things. The reason I didn't touch upon is that this is not a leadership workshop per se. We have a leadership development program in Hyderabad. I was telling you about our Vivekananda Institute. This goes on for 1 whole year, and it is concentrated only on school children, +2 level children. And you won't believe the kind of exercises we give them and the kind of responses we get at the end of 1 year. It starts off with some 100 children and goes on to the best 4 or best 5. So that is important. Okay? But in our self-analysis, in our, self-improvement program, that definition becomes better, that the leader conquers a context. Huh. Wonderful, wonderful. I know, that is an excellent exercise, I think, which we can do. I would rather all of you did it rather than my doing. Would you like me to focus on that again? So that we can have that analysis. Each one of you can, this is one slide, and keep the traits in mind and then give an example. Okay, each of you can give one example so that 8 students will give. Since we have so many of you, we will get many examples per trait. Innovation, willpower, courage, discipline, initiative, commitment, humility, and concentration. Think of one leader and then tell me, or think of one trait for more than one leader, for a single leader many traits, single trait for many leaders, anything is possible. True, but that will be, imposing my thoughts on yours. Fine, fine. Fine. Shall we start with some names of leaders? Would you like to give? Remember, I gave an example of cricket. Can you think of any great cricketer who's your favorite? Sachin Tendulkar. Very good. Can you think of any of these qualities with relationship to Sachin Tendulkar? Commitment. Wonderful. Yes, you know, all the times he scores well, it seems, he can see the ball as though it's a football. That's what he says. That the cricket ball looks like a football to him when he scores well. Okay. Shall we take some leader from the scientific field? APJ Abdul Kalam. Very good. Can you think of anything which he has? Humility. Wonderful. You know, it seems if you write a mail to him, he replies immediately. My students told me that, you know, if you send a mail to APJ Abdul Kalam, madam, we get immediate replies. Humility. Imagine such a great person. He has many of these traits, if you can identify. If you remember how he went into, you know, his chosen subject of study, how he was inspired to do that, you will find another trait. What about initiative? Abdul Kalam? Yeah, he did. You know, the entire defense labs in Hyderabad are his creation. The way in which, you know, we have beautiful defense labs in Hyderabad. And the entire blueprint is Kalam's initiative. The way in which he's structured, the way in which he's put the organization. After all, he's a scientist, he's not a leader. But then his leadership traits are wonderful. Okay? Can we think of a political leader now? You need not have only a living leader. See, even Hitler has many qualities of leadership. Please remember, although he's a negative leader, but his qualities of leadership are wonderful. Though if I say Hitler, you'll say, oh my God. But we have to see that even the most negative person has some positive quality. So, somebody said Atal Bihari Vajpayee. So, fine. If in the next elections you are going to vote for his party, Narendra Modi, you know, when he was campaigning, huge Vivekananda behind. But that becomes a negative icon. Now Vivekananda is very suspect because people think Vivekananda is as corrupt as our political leaders. Poor chap. So Narendra Modi, what qualities does he have? Or Atal Bihari Vajpayee, what qualities he has? Manmohan Singh, what qualities he has? He has no qualities of leadership. Fine. He's an academic mainly. You can't say that he's a leader. But then he does have, you know, some other qualities which are there in a leader, that is giving credit where it is due. That also is a leadership trait, not mentioned here. You will find very often that Manmohan Singh gives credit where it is due, not like your bosses who take away the credit from you. Okay? These are all things. It need not necessarily be that, you know, a person doesn't have any leadership quality. All of us have some quality or the other, but he doesn't have possibly in the amount which is needed. I told you, we have to choose the skills as much as we need. To be a prime minister, the amount of leadership that is needed, he might not have. That is our perception. But he might have some traits which are, you know, commitment is a trait which need not necessarily imply commitment to a job. Commitment to being honest, having values, etc. are also significant traits. I hear that Manmohan Singh is very honest. Of course, you and I don't know what is the true story, but the majority say he's very honest. A small minority says that he is not honest, but he's an economist. You know, you can fudge economics, but you need not. So we need not look to those. What about others? Manmohan Singh you don't like, so let us leave him out. Narendra Modi somebody mentioned. What does he have? Dynamism, okay. Dynamism is also very important. But, you know, very often dynamism is expressed in the form of aggression, which people don't like. So one has to be, a leader has to be a little careful where dynamic becomes aggressive. That is a little bit of a problem. Of course, I never mentioned it on this chart. But Narendra Modi has many other traits, it seems. If you go to Gujarat, you get really impressed by the things that are happening there. He has lots of initiative. You know, when Singur in West Bengal didn't give Tata Motors, it was not, many other states were trying, including Andhra Pradesh was trying. They didn't get. Who got? Gujarat. Initiative. That is important. He has some innovation also. Lots of innovation is available in Gujarat. That is why industry is progressing. Gujaratis themselves are extremely innovative race. And their innovation is not only Indian, but it's global. If you go to Africa, if you go to Canada, you will find how powerfully innovative they are. Okay. Would you like to choose some other leader? No, we missed out Atal Bihari Vajpayee. What does he have? He has humility, okay? Humility we are getting in many leaders. That's wonderful. He has initiative, that's true. He has lots of initiative. He has a great commitment because in spite of his ill health, he continued to lead the party. So these are all, you know, commitment, concentration, these are all very significant parts of leadership which you have. You know, a scientist like Alexander Graham Bell, he discovered the telephone by touching his mother's head. I'm sure you know the story. You know, the mother was deaf, she couldn't hear. So these two boys, Alexander and his elder brother, used to keep touching the mother's head and then talking. The vibrations of their speech made the mother understand them. It is from these vibrations, that sound vibrations, and then, you know, the discovery of the telephone, which is so important to us today. Imagine what level of initiative. He didn't become any leader who was very famous in the public sphere. He became a leader of his own, you know, sphere of existence, and that is science. Thomas Alva Edison, great leader, you know, his school teachers sent him out of school by saying this useless fellow can't be educated. And when he passed away, the entire USA switched off its lights for 1 minute to pay homage to such a great leader. So we don't know what is hidden in whom. That is why I think, you know, this would be a wonderful exercise if we do it. Even in self-analysis, I have put only questions. I'm happy he raised this kind of an exercise because there I want answers from you only. A real, honest answer. I've just given about 10 questions in that, but we can frame hundreds of questions for ourselves. How do we react? What do we do? What do we think? Remember that soft skills have two areas of improvement. One is behavior and the other is attitude. So if our attitudes are getting corrected, if our behavior is getting corrected, then we are a complete individual. We are choosing these great people because they were complete individuals. It is not as though they didn't have negatives in themselves. I gave you example that, you know, Vivekananda had a horrible temper. He was constantly losing his temper. Sometimes by losing his temper, he would spend a long time regretting. Sometimes he would listen to, you know, Ramakrishna's wife, Sharda Devi. He would listen to her. Whatever mother says, okay, I will do only that, even if I've lost. So like that, all of us have negatives. It is not necessarily that we have to be perfect. Perfection is not, you know, what we are expecting. As an English teacher, I can tell you, you know, perfect means end. What I've been stressing from morning is excellence. Excellence is a receding goal. You reach it, the goal is slightly ahead. You reach it, the goal is slightly ahead. Perfection means finished. Now I've got it. I have nothing more. That we don't want. Although Vivekananda describes education as perfection, I think the vocabulary has changed a little in the 100 years which we have crossed. And now what we are looking for is excellence. So who wants to become excellent in what? How much you want to become, and like whom you want to become. How much is necessary? For instance, we talk about self-confidence. Many people, as they come as students, don't have self-confidence. But overconfidence is equally dangerous. Lack of confidence is dangerous. Overconfidence is dangerous. So what you require? The right amount. Not too much, not too less. An optimum, a level which is necessary. All skills are like that. If you become super skilled, it's a problem. You don't need that much. If you become unskilled, it's a problem. After doing MSc Physics, if you are an auto driver in a city, then you're wasting your education, isn't it? You did MSc Physics. You didn't get a job. You're poor, so you are taking up to, driving auto rickshaw. That is how our skills are. That very often we use a skill, we waste a skill, we don't, hone the proper skill, we don't use the right amount of skill, and so on. So these 10 traits to be used when you require. Yeah. The skill of a leader is how you are managing. That is what in leadership terminology is called as leadership styles. How you are leading, in what manner you are leading. That is skill. Whereas trait is an inherent quality which makes you a leader. Suppose you have courage. You automatically in a group you stand out by saying this person has courage. For instance, we have so many people fighting at the borders. You can easily pick out from our Jawans one Jawan who has leadership traits. If you ask a psychologist, or a psychiatrist in the army, I have a cousin who's an army psychiatrist, you will find that most people lose their mental balance after a war or after being posted in the borders. Some have that mental balance. How? They have willpower. Leader. Out of 20 Jawans who have come to you today, one is a leader. Trait. Trait is quality. Whereas skill of leadership would mean how you are going to lead. I'll tell you, since a question is asked, although it's not part of what I was speaking, some people like to lead by sharing with everybody. You are a leader, but you keep asking everybody, keep involving everybody. That's a good style of leadership. It's called democratic. Very soft-spoken, very gentle, very quiet, very, people-friendly. That is one style. In all situations, although democratic leadership is wonderful, in all situations it doesn't work. In certain situations, what you need is autocratic leadership. The name itself is terrible, autocratic. Doesn't listen to anybody, only does what he wants. Where there is a danger, suppose there is a fire in a big building and you have firefighters working with you, their autocratic leadership is much more important than democratic leadership. When the Twin Towers were burning, you couldn't have democratic leadership anymore. You needed to immediately address. Their autocratic becomes better, skill of leadership. Then you have something called as the paternalistic leadership. Benevolent patriarch, the father figure. Always, very loving and all, but very strict also. It is like the iron hand in the velvet glove. You can't make out the strictness. You think, so loving, so wonderful leader, but actually very strict. Always makes you do what he or she says without showing that he is compelling you to do. Like that, many styles are there. Then, there is what is called as the inherent leadership. The king's son always becomes the king. That is how it was, monarchy and all. That is not correct at all. Inherited leadership, because your father is a great leader, you become a great leader, it's not there. Just because Rahul Gandhi is the son of, Sonia Gandhi or Rajiv Gandhi, is he a great leader? Just because Sonia Gandhi is the daughter-in-law of Indira Gandhi, is she a great leader? Just because Indira Gandhi is a daughter of Jawaharlal Nehru, is he a great leader? This kind of questions come in, inherent. And the other is acquired style. Acquired. Each one of us can become a leader. We have a potential to be a leader. Especially in a democracy, Leadership is much more. You must remember that democracy has both good and bad points. One good point is that it gives endless opportunity to all of us to become leaders. The negative point of democracy is that very often the majority is not right. We have to do whatever the majority says. Now the majority says that go and burn the country. So you have to burn it because majority is always right in a democracy. So it has both negative and positives. We cannot say it is only positive. So a leadership style which follows any of this, an acquired or inherent leadership, a democratic or autocratic leadership, is what we would call a skill. Whereas trait is what we have to cultivate. Suppose you want to become a leader, then what are the qualities you would look for? One important quality of the leader is communication. Excellent communication. You should be able to tell everybody. Suppose you keep everything to yourself, you're not a good leader. Decision-making ability. When everybody is confused, they are unable to decide, a leader decides. What shall we have for lunch? Everybody is ordering something else. So then decision-making has to be made only by the leader. Problem solving, difficulties are there. How to analyze, negotiation. These are all significant skills which a leader requires. But these can only become skills when you have the traits. The basic trait of decision making is strong will, strong mind, concentrated ability on a certain problem. Then only you can have decision making. Similarly, communication, when you have clarity, when you have, an openness of mind, when you have a feeling of empathy, emotional intelligence, what we are going to do now. These are traits. So if we make our qualities, what Vivekananda called as character building, man making education. Again and again he uses these words. What is this character building? Certain traits we acquire. We encourage those traits in ourselves. These traits are like small, seeds, small ideas. Once they become more and more, then our personality is formed. Who we are is defined by our traits. We are nothing other than a collection of all our experiences. Each experience gives rise to some quality within us. Suppose a child has been encouraged from childhood, told that you are excellent, you can do well, you can do good. The child acquires self-confidence. From childhood, if you are told that you're useless, you're good for nothing and so on, you acquire diffidence. You become, confident and diffident are opposite of each other. So you become diffident by saying that I'm not good enough. How did you get? Because your experiences have told you that. No child is born a criminal. How do we have so many criminals in society? Because experience makes the criminal. It is our experiences which make us good or bad. Each experience develops a trait in us. So leadership, what I was speaking about, is how to become a person who can lead others. Once you become, then next, if I meet you all again, we will have a longer discussion as to how you should utilize this to be a leader. Today only becoming, then being some other time. Or if all of you visit Hyderabad sometime, you can meet me and we can have some great times together. Apart from, of course, leadership. Hyderabad is a very beautiful place to see. So all of you can come and see it. Fine, please ask. It's wonderful that you're asking many questions. I wish all of you would ask. Then I won't do any other topic. We will have, only interaction. Interaction is the real fun. Attitude. Okay, your questions are, I can only give my opinion. Let me not say that my opinion is right, but I will certainly give you my opinion for both. The first question is about soft skills, behavior and attitude. I said that soft skill implies behavior and attitude. Attitude is the way in which we think. If you have heard of a famous philosopher and a famous scholar of the Greek times called Plato, you will remember that Plato made a comment that ideas are the original experience. So what we are undergoing is no experience at all. It is an idea. First idea comes, then only we do something, isn't it? Suppose idea comes to your mind that let me go on Sunday to this room number 16 and then attend a workshop. You didn't come first, idea came before your coming. So that is what Plato's contention is, that all our action is only a duplication or an imitation of an idea. The idea is generated by a mind. So the kind of ideas we will get depends on the kind of mind we have. There are thousands of students on campus. All didn't get the idea of coming here. Others got other ideas, no? Why did you come? There is some trait in your mind, inherent quality, which made you come here. So you got an idea only because of some qualities. So attitude is that state of mind. Soft skills determine our mindset. You know, the mind is a very difficult thing to define because we can define brain, we can see brain also. Mind, it seems only is that connection, you know, the thought. The thought is like an electric current. I have not seen with my eyes at any point. Have you all seen? We haven't. But don't we see the activities? You know, the light is on, the mic is on, the LCD is on. We are able to see the effect. We are not able to see the object which is producing the effect. So the mind is like that. Then when I say attitude, I mean that invisible entity which is not seen but which brings some action. And that action is behavior. Our behavior is dependent on our attitude. You know, suppose you think that whoever is speaking is saying something interesting. By looking at your faces, full of concentration, the speaker knows, okay, you're listening. How has it come? Because your mind is engaged in listening, your body is showing that behavior, concentration. You know, extreme involvement. Suppose you think this is terribly boring. You've fallen asleep. It happens very often, you know, that after sleeping for 1 hour, a student gets up and says, "Ma'am, will you give attendance?" I can't say no, because the student has been in my class. Only what has been in the class? Only the body, not the mind. The mind never came to class, it slept. So you can imagine how things are. So that action, that, what is visible is behavior. Attitude is that which is invisible but which determines behavior. No behavior is possible, no action is possible without it. Now, soft skills determine our attitude by softening. You know, usually most of us have an attitude which needs to be, it's like that black colored diamond which you find in the mines. It seems when diamond is found, it's black because it's carbon after all. By polishing, diamond becomes white, full of light. So like that is the mind. The mind is like the black diamond. It has potential to become white, but it is covered with all the negatives. Soft skills soften this, they clean this, they make our attitudes acceptable, socially relevant, personally meaningful, etc. From this kind of a mindset, which has the right attitudes, we get the right kind of behavior. A person who has sympathy for others cannot go around murdering people. A person who doesn't have great selfishness cannot steal money from public funds. A person who doesn't have, who admires others cannot be jealous of everybody. So our behavior patterns are dependent on how we think. Soft skills manage both these. Now, to answer the second question requires some, statistics which I can't give you. How much percent soft skills and how much percent hard skills or domain knowledge, I can't tell you. But, my feeling is that, domain knowledge is very important in life. But where we are totally dependent on our, performance, on our capabilities, on our subjects, there we find that we might not have a well-adjusted existence. Some couple of years back, I read in a newspaper that a person who had passed from, I'm giving examples of IIT because now I'm in IIT and all those examples are coming to my mind. Such examples are plenty, okay? Don't take it personally. Who stood one of the first rankers for his BTech and MTech in IIT Kharagpur, went abroad, went to the US, got married also to another, very highly qualified IITian from some of the other IITs, had wonderful jobs, earning, I don't know how many, $1 million between the two of them. The entire family, including the children, committed suicide. What reason? Money they have, position they have, education they have, power they have, luxury they have, family life they have, job they have. What is it that they don't have? Soft skills. You understand? This is how life is there. Hundreds and hundreds of such examples are there in real life. Soft skills are the ones which give meaning to hard skills. Instead of giving you a percentage, I can define it like this, that hard skills give life, life itself is hard skills. Without it, you don't exist. But to make your hard skills applicable, what you need is soft skills. Hard skills become utilizable using soft skills. If you have hard skills and if you don't have soft skills, you cannot survive. If you have soft skills and you don't have hard skills, you cannot survive. So both of them are interdependent. We cannot say soft skills are more important or hard skills are more important. But hard skills are dysfunctional without soft skills. However brilliant you are, you cannot have a well-adjusted life without your soft skills. However wonderful a person you have, excellent attitudes and wonderful behavior, without domain knowledge, you cannot succeed in this world. Unless you are highly qualified, there is no life for you. Imagine the millions of poor people who are dying in the north of India because of cold. Don't you feel for them? It's because their condition can never improve because they have nothing in life. If they have some attitudinal change by saying, if I don't have food for myself, let me have one child whom I will educate to the highest. They don't do that. Their attitude is, if I'm poor, I have 10 children, 10 children will work and earn 10 rupees, I will have 100 rupees per day. So let me have 10 children. In India, the resources have increased 100-fold after independence. The population has increased 1,000-fold. So it is still not enough. The day we had independence, we were starving. Today also we are starving. After 70 years almost of independence, shouldn't we be completely self-sufficient? Why is it we are not? Soft skill. So soft skill is not helping them, The poor people are wonderful people. Much more honest is the lady who works in my house as a maid than the minister who rules my country. Very honest, she doesn't touch. Even if I keep gold there, she doesn't touch. Imagine her honesty. If you keep gold in front of a big officer, he will immediately pocket it and say, it's mine. So we have excellent skills are available. But why are they not getting success? Because they have hard skills, zero. No skill in any job, no qualification, no ability to, do skilled labor, nothing. They have only capability of doing the most unskilled jobs which don't pay them money. So it is, hard skills, most essential. Without soft skills, not so effective. Soft skills without hard skills, no use at all. Okay? So I won't give you a percentage. After all, I'm not a maths teacher. I'll avoid the percentage and give you only an explanation. Now we have a fairly long, presentation, which I don't know whether I should show you. It's already 1:40 almost. What would you suggest? You want to quickly look through the PowerPoint which I prepared? Okay? See, these are available to you. If you copy and take it for your own pen drive, I have no problem. They don't belong to me. I was only the instrument which prepared it for you. Okay? So these two PowerPoints now belong to all of us. No exclusivity by saying because my name appears on them. I wanted you to know my name so that tomorrow, email also you wanted, no? I gave it to her. I'll put my email here and see how much we can keep in touch. My name is Sumita, you have to remember that. So it is there on the PowerPoint also, you can remember. Sumita30@gmail.com. You keep in touch. You know, people who've never met me also keep in touch, because on YouTube some of the lectures are there which I haven't seen. They see and they write. I get calls on my mobile from Brazil and from UAE and from UK and all. It's wonderful to get, because by their experience, by your experience, I also learn. You know, every time I meet all of you, it's for me a learning experience. I cannot say that I teach and you learn. The teachers learn maximum from their students. The greatest teachers of the world have learned everything they say from their students. In the beginning of the book, you'll find that this entire book was my classroom experience with my students. So all of us are very important for each other. And that is why I feel that if we communicate, it will be wonderful. One boy was saying that, you know, madam, my English is not good enough. Now, if he writes to me regularly in English, I'm sure his English will become like my English. He will have that much opportunity to interact. I will answer your mails on the same day, because I get so many mail, I try to answer them immediately. So don't feel disheartened that if we write, she will not remember or answer. Okay? Now, quickly, let me try to, you know, go out of this and come to the next one. I feel that most of our problems are because of our, you know, lack of emotional intelligence. Indians are supposed to be very well endowed with emotions. We have lots of it. But then we don't know what to do with it. When emotion gets excess or when emotion gets misdirected, it is like the Ganga in flood. You know, Ganga is sustaining us, giving us food. But on a day when it is in flood, I grew up in Patna, where, you know, Ganga is in flood almost every year when I was growing up. So you have to swim to college. You can't even go to school because all the roads are, you know, full of water. So the same which is sustaining is also harming. That is how emotions are. So emotional intelligence today is as important, continuing from the question which we were dealing with, others like hard skills, soft skills. Emotional intelligence is as important as brain intelligence. IQ, what we call, you know, intelligent quotient, is as important as EQ. Many of you will be tested on EQ whenever you are going out in the world outside. Till you are in college, you lead a very protected existence. Everybody looks after you. The moment you start working, the world becomes like an open place where you fight, where you have to survive, you know, only by struggling. So there what you require is emotional intelligence. These days, emotional intelligence has become a very important topic, especially because of the terrorist activities and the, you know, bombing, human bomb, personal bomb, all kinds of things. Yesterday's newspaper, I was reading that some Naxalites are embedding the bombs into the bodies of others. You can imagine what, you know, technology. And they are embedding the bombs into the police officers' bodies also. See the fun. So with all these things, what we require is emotional intelligence. I would like to tell you that, you know, this is again my personal belief, that the most idealist and the most positive human beings become terrorists and Naxalites and all, because they were highly ideal. Their ideals were so wonderful. Society did not allow their ideals to come through. They turned towards the negative and started, using negative ideals for destruction. This is where emotional intelligence is important. If they had their emotional balance, they would have never taken it into the negative field. These people are always looking for the most intelligent students. I remember the first, the student who used to stand first in college one day committed suicide. We all wondered why this student committed suicide. He was the best in the college. We had expected a wonderful life for him. After about 6 months, we came to know that the Naxalite group had caught hold of him and they were pressurizing him to join the group. They said, if you don't join, we will kill your parents. We will kill your younger sister. He couldn't withstand this pressure and he committed suicide without telling anybody anything. All this is where we learn emotional intelligence. Everybody thought that Vivekananda was a jnani, highly rational individual. But he was also powerfully emotional, as all human beings, especially Indians. It seems the people in the colder countries like UK and all are very, controlled with their emotion. They're very cold and distant. In India, people are not like that at all. You're traveling in the train, you will hear the life history of every person. If you go to England, unless somebody introduces you to somebody, and many other European countries, I'm going to Germany next week. So there what happens is that, people will say hello maximum if somebody introduces you. Nobody will confide anything in you. If you're standing on the road, somebody asks you what is the time. Then they tell you a whole story why they are asking you time. If you go to the US, every person on the road says, oh, hello. Indians think, they are saying hello with such a smile, so we should talk to them. They say, okay, I've come from India, I've come for this reason. They don't wait to listen to you. That is a kind of indifference, human indifference they have. In our country, we don't have human indifference. Wonderful. But we also have excess of emotion. We also have insensitivity with emotion. We think we are emotional, others should not be. So we go on, doing these things. So I thought emotional intelligence would be very important. Recently, we have seen a lot of upsurge of emotion in India. For every little thing, the whole country is going on a strike. But what is the result of the strike? After 1 month, after 6 months, after 2 months, no concrete result. Emotion should be directed in a channel where it gets us some result. Just like in literacy, we have 3 R's. How will you know that you're literate? Reading, writing, and arithmetic. That is how it was defined in the colonial times. Now they are defining the 3 R's of emotional intelligence. First is recognize emotions. We feel a little embarrassed with emotions. Are you feeling upset? So, no, I'm feeling fine, thank you, I'm okay. Are you angry? No, I never lose my temper, I have absolutely good temper. Are you feeling excited or happy? No, there's nothing to feel excited. Oh, absolutely no excitement, no happiness, nothing. This is all pretense. Each of us at every moment of our lives is feeling some emotion. It is better that we acknowledge, it is better that we recognize. This is the first step. Awareness is most important. When you go to a doctor, the doctor has to first diagnose, Doctor can't give any medicine without saying have this test, have that test, etc. So recognition is the first step towards cure. We all have emotions. We should not have excess of it. Then the second of the R's is respecting emotion. Respecting emotion would imply that, all emotions are good. There is nothing like negative or positive emotion. It is only the use of the emotion which is negative. We all say anger is a terrible emotion. I read once in a book that, if you have a short temper, please carry a small mirror in your purse or in your pocket. When you get very angry, look at your face. It seems we look terrible when we are angry. So by looking at your face, you won't be angry anymore. Every time you get angry, you keep taking out your... Or they say, if you are very angry or impatient, count up to 10. So you say count 10, 9, 8, 7, then you lose your anger, your irritation. This is very beneficial for health also, because otherwise if you get too angry, you'll get some ulcers in your stomach and, indigestion and all that. So not necessary really to be. But then Aristotle, another Greek philosopher, like Plato, Aristotle said that righteous anger, anger which is righteous, towards the right person, anger towards a person who deserves you to be angry, in the right amount, not too excess or too little, in the right context, and for a right reason, this is excellent anger. You should be angry when the cause is right. You should be angry when the person deserves it. You should be angry in the right amount, not too much or too little. But what happens when we get angry? We lose our balance completely. So you say, oh, that person, always gets angry. No, respect that anger by saying, is the anger legitimate? Is the anger justified? Emotion. These days, so much of, negative emotion in society. Young boys and girls, since all of you are youngsters, I can give you this example. You love somebody who doesn't love you. You keep looking around for a bottle of acid. When to throw, how to throw, why to throw. We have, a big building in Hyderabad called Charminar. Somebody took the beloved, who of course doesn't love him at all, up to Charminar and threw her down from there. Immediate death. This is not respecting emotion. If I love you and you are indifferent to me, I should respect your indifference. I shouldn't compel your love. It is not possible. If somebody loves you, you respect that love. Your parents say that we are being strict with you because we love you. You say, what is this nonsense? But when you become parents, you behave exactly like that. And your children say, what is this nonsense? Then they become parents and your grandchildren behave exactly like that. So it goes on and on and on. The reason is because little or large, big or small, we are not able to respect the emotions of others. Everybody says, I'm very sensitive. Sensitive means what? Not to you, I'm sensitive to myself. If you raise your voice, I get angry. If I raise my voice, I feel very happy. See, I shouted at you. But you can't shout at me. Sensitivity means knowing others' emotions, respecting emotions. I've given, examples from Vivekananda, you can read. Then regulate. When you buy a refrigerator or when you buy an electronic gadget, one part of it is called regulator. No? So human machine also has regulator, but we are not using it at all. We need to tune ourselves, regulate the emotion. Here our media is doing a disservice to us. Have you seen a death scene in a movie? As soon as somebody dies, everybody has to cry loudly and okay, somebody has died. Now suppose a person I really love passes away and I don't shed a tear, they think, look at this useless fellow. She's very happy somebody has died, not sad at all. Now, sorrow cannot be necessarily expressed in tears and crying loudly and all. So, rich people hire others to cry in the death. That is the whole concept is there. Rich zamindars they used to hire people. Somebody has died in my house, please come and cry. So they would pay money. Everybody, they will cry, like this, they have to do and cry. Okay, very great sorrow, because society knows that somebody has died in your house. Imagine. So regulating emotions, how much emotion in which context? Too much stress during an examination or interview. Too much excitement when some news is communicated to you. These are all unregulated emotions. Regulated emotion would mean that you feel happy without it being excess. You feel sad without it being excess. Today I find in the younger generation, I hope not in IIT, but I find in my own university, the most fashionable thing is to be depressed. How are you feeling, child? Oh, madam, today very depressed, horribly depressed today. Why are you feeling depressed? No reason, they are feeling. Tomorrow more depressed, the day after more depressed. That has become very fashionable. You know, to be bored. How are you feeling? Very bored. When I was young, I didn't know that a word like bored could be used. We had so much to do. You have much more because your electronic gadgets like iPad and, iPod didn't exist when I was young. But still boredom, the disengaged mind. So emotional intelligence gives a mental balance. Although we say emotion is in the heart and, intellect is in the mind, it's nothing like that. To get a mental balance, to regulate your emotions properly, use them at the right time. Where you are supposed to show emotion, you are indifferent. Where you are not supposed to show emotion, you show too much of it. If you go to the interview hall and your hands are shivering, that is an unnecessary emotion. Even if you're frightened, please keep it to yourself. If you fail in an examination, then emotion is not to feel sad, but the emotion is to feel motivated. Okay, I failed, wonderful. Good, I failed. Next time I will come first. That is the emotion you require. Not the emotion by saying, let me see where I will get some rat poison and commit some suicide. No, this is what emotion is all about. Emotion regulates your attitudes. He asked a question earlier about attitude. Emotion is what gives balance to your attitude. Emotion is what gives the right mental picture, the right ideas. Therefore, emotional intelligence, these three things. Now, I have given in 2 slides 2 strategies with examples from Vivekananda again. I'm not reading the examples because we are coming close to the time. The session was supposed to finish at 2, but Shubhadeep said I could continue for a little more time. But it depends on you. Here, democracy is wonderful. So, we will go by democracy only, no autocracy here. Would you like me to continue or stop? Okay. When you get very hungry, will you tell me? 2:30 you'll get very hungry. Wonderful. See, body clock that is called. Fine. 2:30 is great. It is 1:55 now. So the 2 strategies are like that. One is that we should have a range of emotions. One context, variety of emotion means range of emotions. If you're a good student, say, oh, I'm a very good student, I should keep always a very serious face and studious eyes. I can't smile. Oh my God, can I smile on campus? I'm a good student. Another person is there, always jovial, always frivolous, always making fun of everything. This fellow is always laughing, can't be a good student. See how we are defining? It is not like that. A single context like a campus, IIT campus, can bring out all your emotional responses. In the class, be studious. Outside the class, be jovial. Being jovial doesn't stop you from being studious. Being studious doesn't stop you from being jovial. How can it? Suppose you're very serious-minded, somebody tells you a joke, then you scratch your head and say, can you tell us the meaning also? The whole joke is spoiled if the meaning has to be told to you. Somebody tells you, a sad story. Today I was walking into the campus and I fell down. You say, oh, you fell down, ha 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 ha, wonderful, wonderful. Are you not misusing emotions? You go to somebody's funeral wearing a colorful dress and say, oh, he died, wonderful, so nice. You go to a wedding with a long face and a black dress and you look very sad as though, they are committing the worst crime possible. Are we not, misusing emotions? So, in a particular context, particular emotion might fit. In a single context, there is no limit of a single emotion. To be able to know different emotions in different contexts is essential. One example I have given, is the vicissitudes in Vivekananda's life when he had problems, what all he did. When his father died, all the money was taken away by the relatives and so on. Still, he could hold on to his mental balance. He went to Ramakrishna and he said, "Will you tell Mother Kali to give me a job?" Ramakrishna said, No, I cannot tell Mother Kali such things. You go. He went inside, he couldn't tell. 3-4 times he went, he couldn't tell. Then Ramakrishna said, don't worry, at least you all will get enough to eat. So he didn't say, I want to become rich, or I want this, or I want that. Sorrow, suffering, happiness, responsibility, all these are different facets of emotions. We have to find out. Suppose you're feeling that your mind is disturbed. At that point, easily you can see that there is some emotional imbalance. Sit quietly with yourself. This is called secular meditation. It's not religious meditation. Sit quietly with yourself and think, why is it that my mind is disturbed today? We ill-treat others because of emotional imbalances. We behave badly because of emotional imbalances. If every day we have this habit of secular meditation, we will never make such a mistake again. We will first analyze our mind. But unfortunately, most of us don't do that. We don't do, mind mapping is like that. At any point of time, your mind is giving some trouble, you draw a mind map. When you want to do a great adventure, draw a mind map. When you want to study for your exam, draw a mind map. When you want to teach well in a class, draw a mind map. When you want to do your research well, like many PhD scholars, draw a mind map. Your mind map tells you everything about life. I haven't shown you how to draw the map, that is there on internet, many sites, but I have shown you what are the benefits much later. So let us do second strategy. Emotional intelligence, avoiding excess of emotion. This I told you already in some examples, so I won't go into the details of it. 2 examples are given. Again, I won't go into details of that also, because we are running short of time. I'm going on to the self-analysis questions. There are, as I told you, about 10 questions. So some of them might be relevant to you, but I would like you to frame a questionnaire with minimum 100 questions for yourself. No need to ask others. Keep 100 questions ready so that regularly you answer. Once a week, once in 10 days, once a month, you must answer the questions. This is the best way of analyzing yourself. Do you frequently feel negative emotions or get negative thoughts? You do it today. No, today I didn't get any negative. After 1 week, you might get a positive answer to this. Remember, life is constantly changing. Today what we don't have, tomorrow we might have. Do you have emotional swings? Most of us do. Suddenly you get up in the morning feeling highly excited. No reason. Suddenly you get up in the morning horribly depressed. No reason. The mind is a monkey, Are you not going to train the monkey? You're given a monkey, now please train it. If you don't train it, to your peril, Recently I went to lecture in Vrindavan. They say, don't wear your specs. It seems the monkeys take away the specs. Many audience came, the audience was about 5,000 people. Many of them lost their specs because the monkeys took away. I kept my specs inside where monkeys couldn't see. So my specs are still there. That is how a monkey is. The monkey is unpredictable. The mind is unpredictable. It is up to us to train it. Do you learn from all experience? Students often ask, how much should we learn? Whom should we learn from? What should we learn? Why should we learn? How should we learn? Don't students have these questions? Those of you who are students might have it. Those of you who are teachers might find students. To teach a student how to learn from life, that is the job of a teacher. Education is not enough. BA, BTech, MTech is not enough. Something much beyond is there. So, are you capable of learning from life? Are you capable of learning from experience? Do you compare yourself with others? This I already answered to you in the morning by saying when you compare yourself, do a comparison with yourself. Others are not there. You know, apple cannot be compared to orange. Others are different capabilities. You compare. Today I am so good. Tomorrow am I better or worse than today? Day after tomorrow am I better or worse than day before yesterday? Like that, if you compare, excellence cannot escape. Because I want to speak. Am I speaking because I love seeing places? Am I speaking because I had nothing to do in Hyderabad? See how many ways of answering are there? All these will tell us about our attitude, our mind, our emotions. Our aim is to see the mind. The body can be seen in a mirror. The mind, no mirror is there. So we are creating a mirror for the mind by putting these questions. Self-analysis is nothing other than peeping into your mind at a regular interval. Most of us don't acknowledge we have a mind. We only make use of a mind. We want to stand first, so use the mind. We want a good job, so use the mind. But we don't admit that we have a mind. We give so much food to the body. You know, I asked you lunch, 2:30. We will be hungry at 2:30. Are we giving food to the mind? We never feed our mind at all. Good thoughts, good ideas, good attitudes, mental food. We exercise the body, you know, so many gyms. I don't know in Kanpur, but in Hyderabad, everybody goes to a gym. This morning I took a long walk, you know, getting up early in the morning. We are very careful of the body. Who gives exercise to the mind? We clean and decorate our body every day, nice bath. You know, we go to Haridwar, Ganga bath. Who's cleaning the mind? If you're 20-year-old, 20 years of dump you have dumped inside, no cleaning. If I'm 50 years old, 50 years of mess in my mind, no cleaning. Self-analysis is a process of exercising, feeding and cleaning your mind. If you can do it every day, you will have a wonderful life. You will have a wonderful mind. Your mind will always cooperate with you. If you don't do it at a regular interval, at least try to do it, 10 minutes once a week or half an hour once in 2 weeks, something like that. Very beneficial exercise. Some more questions, 5 more questions. We make mistakes we don't acknowledge. These days situation is very dangerous. Earlier, maybe 30, 40 years back, if I lost my pen, I would tell you, I lost my pen. Today, if I lose my pen, I'll tell you, somebody has taken my pen. All the time pointing fault at others. You took my pen. Earlier, I would say, I lost, my mistake. Today, I don't see my mistakes anymore. I only see others. Society has become like that. We are constantly blaming others. We have forgotten to check ourselves. This is why, very important question. How often do I make a mistake in my work, in my life? Do I really acknowledge the mistakes I make? Then, do you blame others for your mistakes? Do you deliberately avoid associating with people? One boy came, I think he attended one of the courses. Then he came to my college and said, Madam, I'm from the US. I had all my education there. But I hate to mix with people. I said, your English is so good. Why don't you? He said, no, I hate. I keep feeling they are laughing at me. Now let me tell you that for learning anything, we should allow people to laugh. If we want to become social, one person laughs, we learn 1% socializing. If 100 people laugh only, we learn 100%. But our egos are so big that we don't want people to laugh at us. Let people point out your mistakes. Let people tell you, I think the best friend is a person who can correct me, not a person who can praise me by saying, oh, you're excellent. That doesn't help me at all. If he says that this is wrong with you, that is more beneficial, don't you think? So we should know. Don't avoid associating with people, thinking that people will laugh at me. What will people say? Should I do this? people will not like. Who are these people? And then, of course, depending on others, decision making, very important. You say, no, they said it's a very good job. He's not taking responsibility. After some years, they get married and they come and say, Madam, I hate my wife or I hate my husband, whatever they are. So, why, child, why did you get married? No, they told me that after getting a job, I have to get married, so I got married. Then they have some children, they come back again. Say, I hate these children, horrible fellows. Why did you have children? No, it's normal, madam. Everybody in India has to have 2 1/4 or whatever the average is. Child, so I also had. Which means throughout life you're shirking responsibility. At no point are you saying, I did it because I wanted to do it. My parents told me, my friends told me, my neighbors told me. This is where the mind becomes weakened, we don't get emotional intelligence, we don't get mental intelligence because we don't. Yesterday some boy went to pick me up from there to bring to Kanpur. He was telling me, I said, why are you staying in the hostel? Don't you feel like staying at home? He said, no madam, I love staying in the hostel because for the first time it's giving me some freedom to make my own decisions. At home I used to keep asking my parents. 1 year in this campus I used to keep calling up and asking them. Now for the first time I'm getting a freedom to make my own decisions. Whether right or wrong. See, decisions can not always be right. But at least we are exercising that option. Which means I'm growing up. See how at every point we encounter these things, we learn so many things from the people we meet. I can give you for every point which I have made, I can give you examples of what happens to us in our daily life every day, on my way to Kanpur, after arriving in Kanpur, after arriving in your campus, in the hostel, this morning, at breakfast, after coming here. Wonderful examples. Every example with 1 or 2 skills embedded in it. If you can become aware like that, learning the skills, you don't need a workshop. Life itself teaches you the skills. Life itself gives you the skill. It makes you perfect. Then, of course, do you run away from unpleasant situations and so on. This is what all of us need to do every day in all our contexts. Very popular, known as SWOT analysis. Strength, weakness, opportunity, threat for every aspect. If you're performing, you do SWOT. If somebody else is performing and you're witnessing, you do SWOT of that person's performance and your response. If somebody is doing something like, organizing a program, teaching a course, etc., SWOT. For an entire organization like IIT Kanpur, you can do SWOT. For your own classroom, you can do SWOT. For your own group of friends, you can do SWOT. For the members of your family or your own city or your own country, you can do SWOT. This kind of an analysis is possible for everybody and every situation. The more we analyze, the better our performance becomes. By knowing your strength, you will obviously multiply your strengths. I've given again examples from Vivekananda, which you will read later, not now. By being aware of your weaknesses, you avoid your own pitfalls. These are the things which make me tense. So you immediately know, okay, I get tense because of this. Avoid it, go over it, overcome it. Strength, weakness. Weakness is only a potential strength. Please remember, weakness is what you don't have. Now you can always acquire it. Similarly, opportunity. Life is full of opportunity. Every time we breathe in, we are taking all the possible good things that nature has. Every time we are breathing out, we are removing all the pollutants inside the body. Do you know? Are you aware that you're breathing? Nobody is. But how is our body getting purified? Every time the oxygen goes in and purifies every molecule of your blood, every cell in your body. Are you aware? Opportunity. It's an opportunity which we are not even aware. And threat. Threat again is a hidden opportunity. As I told you already while answering her question, difficulties make us stronger. difficulties make us better human beings. So anything which is a difficulty in your life, a threat of course is a challenge, a problem, a hindrance, a hurdle. This is actually an opportunity to become better. If there are no threats, remember a famous scientist called Darwin. Darwin told you survival of the fittest. Now how will you become fit unless you have challenge, unless you have threats? The more threats you encounter, the more threats you overcome, the better you become. So your SWOT analysis has no negatives. Although weakness and threat looks like negative words, they are not negative at all. They are the future positive. It's just like the photograph, It seems black and white, not this kind of thing, but black and white is supposed to be very good photograph. Black and white, you get a negative, where your hair looks white, your face looks black, no eyes, nothing can be seen. The negative is horrible. But when you develop it, you get a wonderful picture with you looking so good. The sophisticated, the long-lasting photograph. That is what it is. So your SWOT negatives are actually like the black and white negatives. The photograph is yet to develop. The photograph is developing. All you have to do is to continue to analyze. Now this is the process. The mind map is, one circle in the middle with all branches going here, there, everywhere. If you type mind mapping on Google, you'll get some mind maps. You can easily draw your own map. I didn't have the chance to put it. I don't know that much technology, I'm an English teacher, please remember. My technology is very limited, so I don't know how to draw it and show you on that. I didn't have time also. Just before getting into the flight, last night I sat and prepared. I have such a horrible life, I can't tell you. I'm feeling very happy in IIT Kanpur because I'm relaxed and no work is there. Anyway, so why we prepare mind maps, What are the various things which happen when we prepare mind maps is what I have put here. Generate ideas. Suppose you're writing a PhD thesis, no idea is coming to your mind. What to do, how to do. It is exactly like, a famous scientist called Kekulé and the benzene ring. He had no ideas. Then in the dream he saw the snake biting its tail. You must have heard all these stories in school, just like I heard them. So generating ideas, sit quietly and draw in your mind. This is my problem. These are the experiments I have done, all map you have drawn. Now from these experiments, what is the conclusion which I am going to get? By drawing every day a mind map, substantiating your map every day, you will find after a few days you're getting new ideas about how to do research. This is what people do when they are doing market surveys, when they are writing project reports, like your project report which you have to give, for a huge budget, etc. The mind maps become very important. Visualize the ideas. When you started planning this program, you had to visualize in November what will happen in January. Isn't it? You cannot do it. You cannot say we'll have a 1-week program and then sit quietly. Nothing happens. You have to have a clear map. You have to have a clear definition. Like that, visualizing, anticipating the future, imagining in your mind's eye what is going to happen. That is also a mind map. The mind map, the best advantage of the mind map is that you can have a hard copy. You can keep making branches and branches and branches and then adding to it. You start with a central core. What is the central core? This program, or this research, or this project, or this proposal. Then you see what are the various branches. Like the amoeba's fingers, you have so many. And for each of them you give a label. From that label you get another 100 fingers. You give labels to them. That is how it comes. Structure ideas. Suppose you have taken a mind map and you have gone into one direction. That is speakers. Who will we invite? So every day you keep adding one more there. But then you have many other aspects. Audience, food, halls where it will be conducted. Then somebody to receive the guests, somebody to give various other facilities, various other help. Somebody to do the electronic support. So many things are there. So can you imagine the kind of map you're getting? If you have a map, your structures don't get intertwined. Don't get complicated because you have separate map for everything. When you come to a crossroads, unless you have directions, you don't know which road to take. The mind map gives you that kind of direction. Then classifying ideas. The mind map gives you the ability to put different things in different slots. When you draw a mind map, suppose you are drawing a mind map on examination preparation. So you keep in the center examination preparation. Then you say, how much time to devote to each subject, how much time to take rest. Because if you don't take rest, what you study is not going to come. So one clear direction should be from which hour to which hour I should have rest during exams. Otherwise you can't prepare. To get into a course like BTech, you must have prepared very hard. To get into a course like MTech or PhD, you need to prepare a lot. How will you prepare? Unless you have classified everything, you cannot prepare. You cannot do well. You cannot succeed. These happen if you do it only orally or if you do it mentally. It doesn't have the clarity which you do when you do mind map. An organization wants to expand, then they will do a mind map. It's not a single individual's mind, it is the organization's map. Now IIT wants to introduce new courses. We need a mind map, because if you put these 4 points, then you know exactly how the program will be 10 years, 20 years into the future. I have given one last slide listing many things which happen when you do mind map. That is the last of the slides. We have nothing beyond this. Since I prepared, I thought I must show you, so I showed you. See, I did my side of it. I told you. Now you have to tell me your side of it. Okay, we still have another 10 minutes for some interaction. If you're very hungry, then interaction only with lunch. Our greatest interaction is with our food. We have positive interaction, but we can always keep in touch. Tomorrow evening for a short time, I might meet some of you, whoever wants to come. That will be of, formal context. The organizers told me Vivekananda's ideas on education. So if you want to hear that, you can come. This I did entirely as a pragmatic, This we run as a course for about 15 days. I'm using, because I did a UGC research project on this, on all Indian philosophic prose. Since I'm doing in Ramakrishna Math, Hyderabad, I'm using Ramakrishna, Vivekananda and Sharada for the examples. But it's a full course. They get certificate after that course. So when Shubhadeep got in touch with me and said, what will you do? My first thing was to come give one lecture and go away. That is the easiest. I could have, given you the lecture today and started out this evening's flight or tomorrow's flight. Then suddenly I think he got this idea of the workshop. So the workshop has nothing much to do with Vivekananda. Vivekananda is only a picture like that. A good human being whom we can emulate. I have used all examples from Vivekananda. But finally, who is this workshop for? Ourselves. How to become better? By talking to you about these things, my skills improve. By listening to me and interacting with me, your skills improve. Finally, at the end of the day, both of us know what these skills are, how to improve them, and how much of it we can improve. Please remember, there is nobody in this audience who doesn't have these skills. All of us have them. Only we don't have them when we need them. It's like English vocabulary, the words don't come to the mind. I want to speak, but no word. If I say, how's the food? Students say, good. How's the weather? Good. How's this book? Good. How's the lecture? Good. Why? They know so many words. When I give them exam, they write. Food you can say tasty, you can say palatable, you can say delicious. All the students know these words. What comes to mind? Good. Skills are like that, they don't come when we need them. Therefore, we need a workshop. The workshop is only to, brush, to refresh, to orient skills which we have making them stronger, firmer, for only success in life. After all of us want to be successful. There is nobody here, I think, who will say, I want to by choice be unsuccessful. Nobody like that. All of us want. Definition of success is different. Each of us has a different definition. But success we want. Skills are the road map to success. So the faster we learn, the better we learn, the more efficiently we learn, better it is. 150 years of Vivekananda are over. He had these skills without attending a workshop. We can also have them without attending a workshop. Let us, since we have a workshop, let us learn a little more. Okay?